I remember I had this dream several years ago, or maybe even 10 years ago, I think. And this has got to be one of the most exciting dreams, most interesting dreams I've ever had. I found myself looking up at the blue sky, and I just instinctively knew that I was on a large spaceship or spacecraft. So I was looking up at this blue sky, and I was under this humongous see-through glass-like dome. You know, looking back now, this dome reminds me of that big glass dome from the Simpsons movie from 2007. But that dome was the size of a town. In this case, it was the size of I think a stadium. As I look back on it now, I think it was big enough to cover a decent-sized circular stadium. So I was looking up, and it was actually not made of just one piece. I remember seeing what looked like to be metallic frames, or a metallic frame. So these, let's call them pieces of glass. This dome was made up of segments or sections, so multiple pieces of glass, basically. And as I was enjoying looking up at that sky, something came over me, and I decided to lower my head to face forward, to look what was in front of me. And what I saw was basically a garden on a ship. Now, this was strange because I was on the top level of this craft, and the floor was basically white, or porcelain white. Let's just say white. I'm not sure if it was made of white tiles, but it was just this flat, smooth, white floor that I was standing on. And in front of me was this circular garden bed, I guess. But it wasn't really a garden. It looked more like somebody dumped some soil on this floor, and then plant life started to grow out of it. So I saw grass, so green grass was growing out of it, some plants with flowers, and actually a few trees. These trees were not that tall, not that big. I guess the trunk of these trees were in diameter less than a foot, so they weren't really that tall, but still, this pile of dirt, I'm not sure how much of this dirt there were, but maybe about 10 wheelbarrows of dirt, or a bit more. It was just this patch of garden, or it was as if it was put there on purpose as a reminder of what this planet, Earth's nature, looks like, so that anyone who's on board this big spacecraft can go to the top level like I did and just take a look around at this piece of Earth's nature. So anyway, I was walking towards it, and I can feel that the floor was, again, flat and smooth. I think it was a little bit cold. I wasn't wearing any shoes or socks. And I started walking on this garden. So I felt the grass on my feet. And I kept walking and walking. And since it was a pile of dirt initially, I did have to walk up onto this pile of dirt, or it's grass, but I was walking up it because I was headed towards the center. And something came over me. I was surrounded by nature, and it really put me at ease. And also, I started to feel this breeze come from the left-hand side of me. So as I was walking towards the center of this garden, I turned to my left to see if there was actually an electric fan, or if one of the windows was open or something to let the air in. So I turned to my left and I didn't see anything. I didn't see a fan. And I didn't see a window open, if there were any windows. But I did feel this cool, dry breeze. And I just kept walking, and at some point I stopped. I was in such a calm and relaxed state of mind, state of being. I was in a trance-like state. And it was such a beautiful feeling. I can't really describe the serenity and the tranquility at that moment. But I felt as though I was one with nature. And it was such a beautiful feeling. Now, the next thing I realized was there was this, I'm not sure if it was a loud noise or a vibration or something happened. It almost reminded me of one of those medieval castle doors opening. It's probably some kind of door opening. And then I found myself on board this much smaller craft. Now, the spacecraft that I was actually on initially may have been some kind of mothership. And that top level, just a little part there, that top level, reminded me of a stadium. So if you go all the way to the core, the very center of this ship, pretty sure that the diameter of this craft was much bigger. You know, I kind of got the impression that the ship was either a disc-shaped craft or a spherical craft. But I didn't know for sure when I was on it. So anyway, I was on this small craft, and then I think there were a few rows of chairs, and I was sitting on the front row of chairs, and on the very left-hand side, so nobody was sitting on my left, but there was a lady sitting on my right. And I remember she had olive skin. She was in her early 20s, I think. She had long, wavy brown hair. And she was wearing this yellow hoodie, jacket, jumper type thing. And she was so happy and so excited, so energized. And I think there were women sitting behind me as well. I think they were all friends, or I'm not sure what, but they were all so happy and laughing and giggling. They must have experienced something on that big mothership that I didn't. Well, the part that I remember is, of course, being on top of that, on the top level of that craft, but all I remember is looking up at that blue sky and then seeing that garden in front of me and walking towards it, walking on it, and then feeling very relaxed. That's all I remember. Now, I was just sitting there, looking down at the floor, and I wanted confirmation. I had to know that I was on that ship. I was on the top level of that ship, and that it was a humongous ship. So I remember turning left and turning all the way so that I could see what was behind me. And I guess there was a big window on the back side of this small craft that was see-through. So I turned all the way to face what was behind me. And I saw this humongous spherical craft. So it wasn't actually a disc-shaped craft. It was spherical. Now, by the time that I turned to look at it, it had already, I guess it was part of the technology, but it had already turned itself white. And it was giving off this white mist. So the surface of this craft usually may have been smooth, because again, I did think that it was made up of a see-through glass-like material. So maybe usually it's reflective, it's smooth, it looks like glass from the outside at least. But it had already, again using its technology, created this white, misty, cloud-like layer to, I guess, morph into this bigger cloud. So I remember seeing this humongous white spherical spacecraft slowly move into this big fluffy white cloud, and then it just cloaked itself completely, and it just turned into a big fluffy white cloud. So I saw this happen, and then I turned back around to face forward, and I was still looking down at the floor. But this time I wasn't confused. I didn't need confirmation, because I already got it. I was just dumbfounded. It was real. I was actually on that craft. It was humongous. It was bigger than our circular stadiums. And now I was on this small spacecraft on the way home, I guess, with all these people on it as well. A garden on a ship. I have so many questions. The advanced ET civilizations or alien civilizations that designed and built that craft, they might have been so advanced. But the reason behind this patch of this planet's nature, it's still a little confusing to me. It was so out of place. I don't remember anything else about that visitation. I don't remember going up to the top level and going back down to wherever I was. Why was I there? What was the purpose of that visit, other than seeing that garden and stepping into that garden? Those ladies who were sitting behind me, the lady that was sitting next to me on my right, what did they experience? because they did not give off the vibe that I gave off at that time. They were so energized and happy and excited about whatever it was that they just experienced on that ship. Anyway, so after I realized that it was all real, that I didn't just imagine it, I was still looking down. I was dumbfounded, amazed, stunned, but I was satisfied that it was real, that I was there, that I experienced what I experienced. And then the next thing I knew, I woke up. I've had so far several dreams that are somewhat similar to this one, that I'll of course go into in my future videos. But I have realized that after having a dream like this, I wake up with such a clear mind. I feel energized, excited. I feel well rested. And I feel so ready to start a new day. You know, after having dreams like this, and recently I haven't really been having dreams like this, not that much. But just before I go to bed, I look at my bed and I get a little excited because I think to myself, maybe, just maybe, tonight is the night where I'll have a similar dream again, and I can wake up in the morning feeling so refreshed. Anyway, here's hoping that in the near future I'll have more dreams like this, because it really does make my life very interesting. A garden on a ship. I wonder what it was all about. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. More videos are in the works. Till next time.